This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Nightwing News. That's right. It was just last week. Anyway, we're here for part 2 of our 80th anniversary Dick Grayson celebration. I am Phil. Joining me as always.
Hello, I'm Kristen.
Yep. And as we said last time, this time we're going to be covering Batman 32 and Batman 20 from
the 40s.
The 40s.
From back in the day.
Yeah. So yes, why 32 first? Because again, it's like you say, like an updated, well, the first updated origin of Dick Grayson.
It's an origin story. Yeah. It's an expanded. It's like it's like Robin's origin day 2, so to speak.
All right.
So yes, as we mentioned last week, comics were for kids. Mm-hmm. And I mean, some comics are still for kids, but now, of course, they have to specifically be like, this is an all ages comic. But there was generally thought to be a cycle. Yes. People probably heard this before, that kids would read and then they would like age out of comics, and new kids would age into comics. Well, I mean, which is still true. I mean, people. Yeah. I mean, you always get new people. It's just now people don't really ever age out. But new kids, and since comics were so much more disposable and cheap, it would be hard for a kid in the 40s to probably say, oh man, I love Robin. What's his story? Probably like a lot of kids couldn't be like, oh yeah, here it is. Read this, Detectives 38. Even though it's only like 5 years ago. Yeah. In this case, because yeah, this is January 1945, January of 1946. But what we've got is...
But again, back then, you probably had a high turnover rate, too. Every 5.
Right, yeah. So, this is Robin's second story. He's old news now, so he's not the sensational character, fine. Mm-hmm. We all know Robin, the young ally of Batman. Everyone is familiar with his reckless grin, his devil-may-care courage, his gymnastic skill. Yes, even his corny puns. When we say Batman, we say Robin. No. It's as automatic as that. But there was a time when Robin's courage and nimble mind were in doubt. That is a story untold. Until now! So we present, for the first time anywhere, the story of the making of Dick Grayson, Boy Wonder. Drum roll, please. And now we get Dick's second round origin, which starts out pretty much the same. He was an acrobat. He's working with his parents, but in both the original origin and this one, they make sure to note that Dick is on the ground. Yep. When his parents perform their death-defying triple spin. And of course, that's when the ropes break. And his parents are dead. Dick hears about there's the mobsters saying bad things. And Dick's like, no. And Batman pops up and is like, you can't go to the police yet, Dick. We need proof. Getting it will be my job.
That's right.
And Dick's like, huh? Batman? So like somehow he already knows who Batman is. And then again, Dick's in the Batmobile, looking sad because his parents are dead. And Batman's like, we have things in common. My parents were murdered by gangsters too. That's why I'm Batman. And Dick, then why can't I be a sort of Batman? Our reasons are the same. Maybe I can help you be a sort of assistant. Batman's like, it's not that easy. Danger. Uh-huh. Dick's like, you can teach me. I'll learn fast. Give me a chance to get back at those rats who killed my mom and pop. And then Batman's thinking, what did I let myself in for? Yeah, Batman, you should have thought that through before you took a kid into the Batmobile. But he says, well, okay. I guess you deserve that chance at least. Because And then we get the montage again. And then we have Batman or Robin helping helping capture Boss Zuko, and no one dies this time. So they've already cleaned up their act.
Yeah, they're not even like on like the skyscraper or anything. It looks like they're like in the middle of the street.
Yeah, they're in the street. So if he kicks someone and they fall, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
No. So, and then again, Bruce says, well, Dick, your parents have been avenged. Now you can go back to circus life. Dick says, no, I think Mother and Dad would have wanted me to go on fighting crime. I can hardly wait for our next case. Okay, yeah.
No Corker.
Now you're going to be... Yeah, I know. They took out a Corker. Maybe that Corker wasn't cool already by 1946. Hard to imagine. And then Bruce, in being a weirdo, is like, oh, about that next case, Dick. I let you work with me only to give you the chance your parents' deaths. But now it's the end of Robin.
Scram.
It's just like, what? But didn't I help you? And then Bruce, this is just stirring up needless drama. Sure, you tackled them because you were mad clean through. So, and then Bruce is like, aren't you afraid you're going to be afraid? Like, oh, well, now that you put that idea in my head, I'm going to be afraid.
Yeah.
And Dick's like, oh, I never thought about that, Bruce, but I have. And I can't have you on my conscience. I like you too much.
No.
Okay. And then Dick is like, makes the silliest, again, like, easy 1940s argument. He's not like, but I need this outlet to help keep me from becoming angry, or like, I want to do truth and justice. And also, they cut the oath out, I think, for time space. Mm-hmm. He's like, but if I don't keep being Robin, I might have to live my life thinking I'm a coward, because clearly that's the worst thing. Bruce is like, well, you're right. We can't have that. I guess I'll train you some more and we'll see.
The kids will think I'm yellow.
I know, exactly. It's so it cracks me up because it's so it's cool. The story is pretty good, but like it's so contrived.
Well, at least they show him teaching him detective skills.
Right, and then now he's doing detective work, chemical analysis, checking out slugs in the microscope.
Yep.
And then Batman's like, okay, it's time for your next test. And then Dick's like, God, it's so good putting this costume on again. And Bruce is like, well, it's up to you whether you'll keep it or not. But Commish gives him some props. He's like, keep up the good work, son.
Yep.
Robin says, thanks.
A duly deputized officer of law enforcement. They're like, good job. That kid in the mask. Good job.
Yep. And then they go out, and then we have our classic thing. So I do think overall they do a good job of showing that Robin is smart. But they do pull the classic thing that they often do in the early comics, which is Batman's like, oh, I have this great idea, let's go. And Robin's like, I don't get it, but okay. Which, of course, how hard would it have been for Batman to pause for a minute and say, oh, yeah, when you made that pun, it made me realize the guy's not a Quaker, he has a lisp. Well, which, of course, leave it to 1940s comics to be not at all sensitive to people. So.
Well, I mean, they're giving the audience a chance to figure it out. I mean, it's another reason Robin was there. It's like, so Batman had someone to talk to.
Yeah, so, okay. And they're off. And...
bring up a card game.
Yep, they go to the card game, and they're starting to beat people up. And Batman's even making some puns. And then... Robin gets boy hostaged because that's classic. And they tie Batman up and they take Robin away. But never fear then, Robin spends the rest of the story showing how smart he is and how clever. So he manages to put a sign on the car that says stolen. Mm-hmm. So the cops pull them over and they throw Robin out. And then this, which happens frequently, because of course Leslie Tompkins also, I don't think she comes about until the 80s. She's a much later adaptation. So when Robin gets dumped into the street, they just take him to the hospital. And the people at the hospital are very respectful and do not take his mask off and try to determine who he is. And Instead, they're like, okay, you're good.
Yes, Leslie Tompkins would not appear until March 1976.
76. Okay, yeah. So she's a lot later. So yeah, they just take him to the hospital. He's good. Then, of course, I love they take him back, even though, I mean, who knows how long it's been. Apparently not that long, because it's still nighttime.
Yeah.
And, of course, Robin, it's all my fault. If I'd watched myself, Batman wouldn't be in a jam. Maybe they've killed him. Oh, why did I have to be such a wise guy? He's crying. And then he's like, what's the matter with me? I gotta look for a clue. So he does all that good work. He puts to use his training from the mental training.
Yep.
He figures out it's at a rabbit farm. But then this one I love. He's just standing in the road. How about a hitch? Batman never did teach me to drive, so I can't take the Batmobile. He don't do that. which cracks me up.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't even know how old he is. Because, again, they're always very cagey about that. Although it's been 6 years. But, of course, this isn't a retro story, so who knows?
Exactly. It always could have been.
Maybe things were loosey-goosey back in the day.
Oh, yeah, because they don't want him to grow up too quick at this point.
Right, but I meant, like, driving laws.
Oh, yeah.
So... And then we have a little joke. The guy he hitches the ride with is a real gabber. And so he's like, oh, man. And then he just drops him off and he strides across the road to go to that rabbit farm. He's ready. And again, he proves how smart he is by covering up the chimney. So the guys get smoked out. And then he busts in. He gets Batman out.
He's like, Robin.
And then that guy tries to shoot him, and he shoots off a little piece of his hair. It's important because in one of the ones from the 40s, Robin gets smacked up the head by a cop, and not by a cop, by a villain, and Batman's like, "Ooh, it's good you have a thick head of hair. It protected you." So see here, his hair is so thick it protects him from bullets.
Oh, jeez. But I'm looking on DC Universe, the digital copy. Was that like the last page of them just like smacking the goons around?
Yeah. So then, So then Robin's like, well, after that boner I pulled, which is also classic outdated slang.
Yes.
He's like, you're a fool, which I assume he means getting myself captured. But Batman's like, you're a fool if you think that. You made a mistake, but you made up for it. Keep that suit. You're going to use it plenty. And so, yeah, then that's the end. There it is, the story that was never told. A story that illustrates it takes more than a costume to make a Robin boy wonder. So I don't know, did they mean to put that in there because there were like too many kids trying to fight crime now? Costumes.
Maybe.
They're like, oh, what have we started?
Don't be a coward, but don't put a costume on, kids.
Yeah. But yeah, classic. And it shows Robin getting his training. But it's still all pretty fast. Like, definitely, as time goes on, they lengthen the training.
Again, like we talked about last episode, it's like, back in these days, they're like, they never knew if people were going to get the next issue. So most of all these stories were, contained in
right, and I assume that there are, again, thinking it's mostly kids reading it, and that it's not, like, going to become, Batman is, Batman and Robin, they're such a big cultural icon now that, it's jokes. They never had any idea that, back then it would become like that. So I don't think they probably really didn't feel that they needed to, dot every I and cross every T, so to speak.
Oh, look, we got someone in the chat room. Luke said, I wonder if hospitals have actual policies on masked heroes.
That is an excellent question.
I'd be more like, what about like child endangerment?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, of course, is I think you can tell more that this was written for kids.
Oh, yeah.
To enjoy and, just to be kind of, whatever, cheap entertainment, because, there's lots of things that happen that they leave unanswered. Because, it's hugely child endangerment. Like, why on earth, as soon as Robin shows up at the hospital getting thrown out of a moving car, the commissioners be like, this is not okay.
No.
But
He's just like, oh, good luck, son.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's geared towards kids, so they assume that kids like Robin. So, like, it would be devastating to kids if they were like, this actually is child endangerment, and you should not be doing this.
Oh yeah,
it's one of that willing suspension of disbelief. We'll just suspend that Robin is a good idea. Because yes, Robin's a terrible idea, but I love Robin.
It was the 40s.
I know, yeah. Just like it's a pretty intense willing suspension of disbelief that nobody figures out.
And again, I mean, well, so maybe it wasn't so far fetched that the next story. I mean, we got to go back a little bit to Batman 20, but Bruce Wayne loses the guardianship of Dick Grayson.
Right, that is true. That is true. With that, well, and I think that actually that the is pointed out in I think an article in the book, which I'll let you shill later. But in the 40s, kids were doing way more work than now. I mean, so often Dick Grayson uses the classic newsboy, the newsboy thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that people definitely. I mean, child endangerment was still a thing. I'm pretty sure in the 40s, but yeah, I mean, kids were doing work.
Yes,
like selling newspapers and stuff. Things that are like less acceptable today. But also, like I said, it was for kids, so that's why they do it. I mean, that's why so many YA books. It's like Hunger Games. Why is it kids competing? That's a terrible idea. I mean, obviously, it's totalitarian dystopian society.
Yeah.
Yada yada yada. But also, the book is for kids. Or, I mean, it's for young adults. So the people need to be young adults in the book so that they're interested in the story.
Yes.
Because it would presumably make more sense. Like, why is Harry Potter, who's like 10, supposed to save the world from Voldemort? That really feels like it should be an adult's job.
It's the chosen one.
Yes. But also it's for kids.
Yes.
So, yes. But yes, so that's Dick's second origin. To remind any new readers, this is how Dick became Robin. Remember, circus. And he knows what's up because Bruce trained him. And he knows jujitsu.
That's right.
So he's good to go. You can't just throw on a costume. Oh, the other thing I like, of course, about this one is in some of the later ones, they don't emphasize it as much. It depends on the one you're reading. But, like, Robin is smart. And I think, there are people who don't so much like the Robin concept. And that's fine. I like it. You like it.
Yes.
But not everybody has to like the same things. That's fine. But, I mean, Robin is a smart kid. I mean, it's not like Bruce is just taking some random... I mean, like, the kid is trained and he knows how to do stuff. So it isn't just, Robin doesn't... I don't know. Some people think Robin just, dragged Batman down. Obviously, I'm not on that. No. I'm not on that side. And so I think it's good because they're pointing out in this story that Robin, is doing detective work. Yeah, sometimes he has his little emotional moments where he's very sad because he's still a kid, but then he gets it together and, conducts an investigation, finds the clues, figures out he needs to go to the rabbit farm. Bam. Saves Batman. Like, he's an asset. He's a team player.
Yeah, I honestly don't think Batman would be as popular as he is today without the help of Robin.
Yeah, definitely. Probably. Yeah, he might not have made it out of the... Yeah, it's actually quite... He might not have made it out of the 40s because there were a lot of...
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot in the 40s that didn't make it through. And Robin was really popular. As a fun fact, I don't think DC Universe has any of these, which is killing me because I need to see Crazy Quilt's first appearance. But Robin had his own in the 40s, which I think was starting probably right around the time of, I think it was starting around 46. But he had in Star Spangled Comics.
Oh yeah. His
own feature. So yeah, that's one of the fun facts is that Robin actually appeared in more Golden Age comics than Batman.
Ooh,
What?
see?
Right. Because, I mean, Batman and Robin are always together in World's Finest. There's occasionally a story in Batman where he's on his own, but like the issue, Robin's in every Batman issue.
Oh, okay.
So you've just got the 11. Batman starts out with 11 more, but during the Golden Age, Star Spangled Comics ran for like 52 issues that had Robin in them, and some of those do have Batman in them, but not all of them do. So there we go. And please, DC, I am sure you're not listening to this podcast, but publish Volume 3 of the Robin Archives, because we've got the first 2, and I really need to see the origin of Crazy Quilt. Or put these Star Spangled Comics on DC Universe so I can read them.
You would think for the 80th anniversary they would do that.
I know. You would think. They are coming out with a Robin omnibus, but it's the 1970s Robin, which is fine. I've already pre-ordered it. I'm stoked. But if they came out with a Robin Golden Age omnibus, I would also be all about that. Just need my books.
That's right.
All right. Let's go to Batman 20. I love this one so much. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, did you have any other things to say about Dick's second origin?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. All right. The story in Batman 20, Bruce Wayne loses the guardianship of Dick Grayson. I love the story so much. Because it has so many of the things that I love about comics, because I love Bruce and Dick, father-son relationship, and this one has it so much, and it's so cute. And it has Alfred being helpful.
Oh yeah, we finally get some Alfred.
Yeah, this is, you can tell it's early because Alfred is still fat Alfred, as opposed to skinny Alfred, because this one is from 1943, I think. Yes, December. This one is also December 43, January 44.
Okay.
Sorry, okay, Batman's coming out 6 times a year. So everyone read this one. It's so good. But yes, so it's like a reminder. Batman took in Dick Grayson, whose parents died on the trapeze. Since that day, the mutual affection between this man and boy has been as strong as that between father and son. But now that comradeship is finished, for our unpleasant duty to relate that Bruce Wayne loses the guardianship of Dick Grayson. Oh, no. But it's so cute. Oh, it's so cute. So they're like having a pillow fight. Come on, a pillow fight. So cute. And then they go downstairs and Dick's relatives have showed up. It's supposed his Aunt Clara and Uncle George, which I will say one thing that I feel like in this version they really are his dad's brother and the wife.
Oh, really?
But I'm not sure. They're not specific. They don't really investigate it. But I think because of what happens, I think it would have been a nice touch if they were like, if it's revealed, that they actually are not Dick's relatives. They're just pretending because they have a nefarious plan. But he's like, hey, I'm a dead brother. But of course, like also the whole, like in modern days, I mean, because you could very easily adapt this one as well, modern days. But then there would be like, more intense looking. But yes, they're like, wait, if you're Dick's relatives, where have you been all these years? And they're like, oh, we were in Europe and we weren't able to come back, which like, that's a very 1940s thing. I mean, number one, this is during the middle of World War II. Although that's not mentioned, but also like nowadays that's not going to hold water. If you're like, hey, your brother just died. Yeah, you're in Europe. Well, get your butt on a plane and get over here. Like, that's not really being a continent away isn't an excuse to not come for 3 years. But then they're like, oh, we'll take him. And Bruce is like, what?
No.
Exactly. And Dick's like, no, I don't want to go. Bruce, don't let him take me. Bruce's like, you can't take Dick. He's like a son. I won't let you. And so George and Aunt Claire are like, oh, yeah? Well, we'll see about that. Boom.
In court.
I know. And then they go to court. And Bruce is like, Dick is like my own son. I've even changed my will in case of my death. Dick will inherit my entire fortune. Your Honor, I love that boy. Please don't take him from me. So beautiful. And Dick's like, Mr. Wayne took me in. A fella couldn't want a better friend. I was like, come on, dude. You could be a little more intense with that. Mm-hmm. But then, yes, we have, coming back to bite him in the butt, the issue that pops up so often in other kind of origins and, in fan fiction and stuff, that Bruce Wayne is, as they say, a night-clubbing, shiftless cafe society playboy. Oh, burn. And so, as Bruce thinks, he's like, I can't tell the judge that my playboy act is camouflage for Batman. Like, yeah, obviously you cannot do that.
Yeah, no.
Of course, as would be a big issue now, which is not then, is like, as soon as you admitted you were Batman, they would take the kid away for dangerous. But obviously then it's just like, no one can know I'm Batman, so I can't say anything.
Exactly.
Because, of course, as part of the resolution, Batman puts in a good word for Bruce Wayne, and everyone's like, oh, well, if Batman says you're good, then, like, you're good.
Yeah, masked man, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, then, of course, they pull the, he needs a mother and a father. And so the judge is like, well, Dick's got to go with Uncle George Grayson. And Dick and Bruce are very sad. And this is why he's packing his stuff up. They take a look around. They're crying. You better check the motor. Sniff, sniff. I'll do it tomorrow. Checking out the penguin umbrella. And then, yes, a hug. Oh, they're hugging.
I just love when he's packing and he's like, oh, I guess Batman's going to be working alone now, so I guess I'll just take my costume in and don't pull another kid off the street and replace me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. That wasn't even on their minds in this one.
I know.
But they're hugging. Golly, Bruce, I don't know how I'm going to stand it. Easy, Dick. Be a good soldier, which I think might be mentioned. I know J.L. Bell, who wrote something in the book, he's mentioned it before, maybe on his blog. Google Daily Robin. Odds and Ends, that's what it is. But that might be one of the first instances, if not the first, of Bruce referring sort of to a Robin as a good soldier.
Oh.
So, like, later that becomes a thing.
Yes.
But here it's probably more of a, like, we're in the war, don't be sad that you have to go live with your rando uncle who just popped up out of nowhere. So, yeah, he says, easy, Dick, be a good soldier. And then Dick's like, I hope you'll come visit. And then also, I think this is a cool touch, comics, also a visual medium, how we've got the big balloon, but Bruce is sad and he's like whispering, crying. He's like, goodbye, kid, goodbye. And so they print it really tiny in the balloon. I don't know. I just think that's a nice touch. It's like really powerful. He's really sad.
But that's interesting you said that. I never thought of that. I mean, he was too young to go off to actual war, but it was almost like, him getting shipped out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't think the soldier... Yeah, I don't think that the soldier reference, it's not in reference to Robin, but it's just interesting that this is that becomes a thing later, like he was a good soldier. Most obviously often applied to Jason, since that's what's on the memorial case, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyway, like I said, then I just think it's really powerful. The big speech bubble with the tiny words. Goodbye, kid. Goodbye. And then I love this. In order to cover up my Batman work, I had to pretend to be a playboy. And now it's made me lose the person I love the most. It isn't fair. It isn't fair. You're right, Bruce. It's not fair. But also I was like, Dick's the person he loves the most. I love it when when these things happen. But then, of course, a sign how 1940s Batman is a bit different. Alfred's like, hey, here's your cave. You got to go on and do your stuff. And he's like, you're right, Alfred. I can't spend my time brooding.
sitting right in front of the window. Here's your cape, sir.
Yes, true. Well, let's hope the shade is down. Oh, it doesn't look like the shade is down. But Alfred's holding it on the other side. He's holding it away from the window side.
Yes.
But yes. But also, I was like, Bruce is like, you're right. I can't keep brooding. Later, Bruce, you'll become such a master brooder. And then another thing, partially reminder that Batman needs a Robin because he's off his game when he goes to fight Fats Foley's goons at the library until Robin comes sweeping in and Batman gets his game back.
Yeah.
Makes some great puns about lions.
There was no one to do the puns.
Exactly. And then Batman's like, thanks for sneaking out. Sneak it back in. And then we have the big reveal. You can tell something is amiss because, Aunt Clara is not a dowdy brunette with glasses. She is a sexy blonde, so you know she's trouble.
An evil blonde.
I know. And then look, she changes from her matronly green dress into this hot red one. Oh, you know what they're trying to signal there. And then the big reveal. Uncle George says, Mr. Wayne, how would you like to buy back Dick Grayson? Oh! Exactly. So, as he says, why you don't care anything about Dick. You just wanted to so you could sell him back to me like a piece of property.
Yep.
And Uncle George is like, exactly. He doesn't even pretend. He's like, yup. You're right. But I wouldn't advise you to go to the police because they'll just assume you have sour grapes. So, get back to me. They're like,
She got that sour grapes. She got a grip of sour grapes.
exactly. So Bruce is mad again. And he's like, basically, I won't negotiate with terrorists.
No, just go threaten them as Batman.
Yep. And Alfred's like, well, why don't you let Batman work for you? And then I love this. He's like, great idea, Alfred. Alfred, you're a genius. Alfred, quite so, sir, quite so. Oh, Alfred. And then Batman threatens them back while they're sitting there guzzling alcohol from their decanters. So you also know they're nefarious people. And he has a gun. My God, a gun too? You really are a bad man, aren't you? But then Uncle George, to bring it all together, who does Uncle George call on? Fatso.
Oh, yes, Fatso.
Fats Foley. Yes. Fatso Foley. So then Batman gets captured by Fatso, and they stick him in that air compressor thing for divers. They're going to press him to death with compressed air, which is inventive. I will say that. And so now it's up to Alfred to save the day. And he goes and gets Dick.
Yep.
And they go and capture one of Fatso's goons and threaten him with rats. Which would indeed get me talking as well. Rats are creepy. And then they go and bust up Fatso's gang. And Robin proves how smart he is again when he's like, Alfred, no, don't open the door or Bruce will get the bends. Well, Batman will get the bends. They have to lower the pressure down slowly.
Yep.
Also, Alfred shows how smart he is that we have a Chekhov's gun moment here. Batman and Robin, when they were on their tour looking through looking through these trophies, Batman was like, hey, remember this umbrella of penguins that shot bullets? They're like, yeah, that was a good time. It's been mentioned. Boom. What umbrella does Alfred bring with him? Oh, Penguin's umbrella that shoots bullets to save it. Can you imagine how the Penguin would burn if he knew that his umbrella had saved Batman's life? Indeed. And then the cops are called. They bust up Fatso, and they bust up George and Clara, who immediately they start getting at each other. She calls George a worm. She's like, you talked me into this. And George is like, shut up before I push your face in. So then people are like, haha, what a loving couple. Sarcasm. Mm-hmm. And then the very next day, because now justice moves swiftly, in Gotham. He's like, get out of town, you two. You're getting kicked out. Dick's going back to Bruce Wayne. And then, as I said, Mr. Wayne, Dick is yours again, the judge. Incidentally, I'm inclined to agree with the Batman. He visited me before and said that in spite of your Playboy activities, you were really a good man. And so Bruce is like, well, he should know.
That's right. That is so weird. So like Dick, well, at least, you know, before continuity got changed many times, he had an uncle, like a crooked uncle running around out there. I don't think they ever came back to that ever.
No, well, that's why I said that a part of me kind of wonders, like, if I were updating this story, I would have it be that the uncle's not real. That it's a ploy because, you know, kind of like, I like a little bit what Devin Grayson did in the adoption issues, which we'll get to later this year.
That's right.
Where the grandpa shows up, and it's like he's not real, you know. But, you know, if Dick were a kid, because I mean, even now the courts would be disposed to award someone to a blood relative. Yeah. I mean, they'd have to come up with some sort of better excuse for why they've been out of the picture. But presumably they would come in like more earlier on, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Not a couple years later, you know. Because at this point they were still a little bit acting like time actually passed in the same way that it passed in the real world.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, it's been years. I'm like, has it? Oh my God, it really has been years. But you know, nowadays, years in our years is like 1 month in comics. So it's where have you been this whole month?
I mean, they can't do that. I mean, it would have been 80 years.
Right, yeah. We'd be on like our 25th Robin and like our 5th Batman by now.
I was going to say, Dick would have probably been Batman, then retired by now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because if you assume, I mean, I like to go with Dick is like 8-ish. There's kind of suggestions in some later things that maybe he was like about 8.
Yeah.
When he started. So if you assume he's 8, so he's born in 1932. So yeah, he's 87 years. He's 87 years old. Or even if you just go with like he was born as an 8-year-old in 1940, he's 80. You're not going to be Batman when you're 80.
Yeah, no.
So yeah. But anyway, I would have them be fake. That they would be pretending to be Dick's relatives so that they could get money, you know, put the squeeze on Bruce Wayne, whatever.
Oh,
yeah. Kind of thing. But again, I think that's just like hand wavy stuff. It's like, it doesn't really matter, and like, yeah, he's crooked, whatever. But yeah, moving on. Next.
Exactly.
Next kind of thing. Because like Bruce has some relatives that pop up occasionally, like Uncle Philip, who it's like that's who raised him. Yeah. Before they change it with Alfred.
Yeah, because after Crisis, he just kind of, I think they even said in 0 Hour, Bruce kind of like fixed the paperwork so he could stay with Alfred.
Right, yeah. Although, and then I think later on they're like, that's what was in the parents' will or whatever. So anyway, but I love this one so much because it has so much great Bruce and Dick father-son. Like that's basically what it is one giant Bruce and Dick father-son story, which is like my fave genre. I love it so much. But also it has some classic puns.
That's right.
And you know, again, and you see that Dick is smart. That he's like, oh wait, we can't just let Bruce out or Batman out. Excuse me. You know, we have to reduce the pressure so he doesn't get the bends, kind of thing. And actually, it's very well written. I mean, like I said, they check off guns, the umbrella gun. They are using legit literary devices. You know.
Yes. Never
let it be said that comics. I mean. I know people thought they were kind of trash back then, but it's lit. It's literature.
Yeah. Heck yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a good story.
Yes.
And they do, and it's a testament, honestly, to how, I mean, really good the writers are. I mean, they've got 2 plots going on in here, and they still managed to wrap it up in like 10 pages, and maybe not even that. It's just. It's impressive also how much they were able to do in these like 1-issue stories. And I mean, this isn't even, like I said, this isn't even a whole issue.
No.
Because it's in Batman, so it's 1 of 4 that came out. But they managed to catch Shook Crooks and bust up Fatso Foley's gang and bust up Crooked Uncle George and Aunt Clara. The two intertwine. They both get busted all in one issue.
Yes.
That's some good writing right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, modern comics, a lot of times they'll stand around talking. Yeah, there's no talking here. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, there is talk.
Yeah, but there's like stuff going on. They move. It's a much quicker pace.
It's a much quicker. Yeah, it's a much quicker pace. But considering how quick of a pace it is, I think that's partially why I love it so much, because it's much quicker paced, but they still take like an entire page of Dick and Bruce being sad and like, you know, hugging and crying and stuff, just to show how much they like each other. And, you know, and yeah, to show that they're a happy family, they show it in one. They're like, oh, it's a happy trio, and they're having pillow fights and laughing. And it's like, so cute.
Oh, yeah.
They get it done fast. Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Because, yeah, sometimes I think with the modern comics, I mean, they want them to have so much more complex storylines. I mean, because, you know, it's always, I think it's something like Hush, you know, there are always these moving pieces and this sort of stuff. And, yeah, I mean, Fatso, he's just a gangster and, you know, does gangster things. There's no, like, deep thing there. And, you know, George and Clara, they just want $1 million. That's it. So, you know, it's not a lot of work to uncover their motives and that kind of thing. But yeah, sometimes in modern stuff, it does seem that they also drag things out.
Yeah. For the trade paperback.
To make the money.
To make the monies.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
Anyone? Just, if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't read it, please read it. It's so good. I really love this one.
Again, a recommended reading list. But yeah, I pulled up the list just so if people want to write to us. Next episode we'll be doing Teen Titans 14 from 1968 and the Titans 15 and 16 from 1999.
Great. Yeah, those are some class. Yeah, so we're kind of, if people are interested, we're kind of vaguely going. Yeah. Kind of chronologically. Like, we're doing the early stuff, and then we're going to do Dick as Robin, but like stuff written later. Yeah. Because, you know, he was Robin up until 84, and then but then people are still like Robin year one. I mean, Chuck Dixon, that was what, like late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, you'll see when you read why we're doing those issues together. That's
right. And then the episode after that is the classic New Teen Titans 38. Who is Donna Troy? Where we get a showcase of Dick's detective skills. Yes.
Exactly.
Again.
I know. See, I mean, granted, apparently that's also a thing that we like and are inadvertently highlighting his detective skills. I mean, yes, I admit there are in the Golden and Silver Ages some issues where I read because I'm trying to read them. I've read them all and I get the omnibuses so I can keep reading them all. There are some where, you know, a little side eye. You're like, Dick. Thought you're supposed to be Robin the Boy Wonder. But there are also definitely ones where he is Robin the Boy Wonder. So, yeah. He adds to the mythos.
So send your thoughts on all those. capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Call our voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-capes. Check out.
Sorry, do you have the list of what we're gonna do posted anywhere?
I keep meaning to. I didn't. Maybe I'll do that today.
Okay, because I was gonna say people can see what we're reading, and if you have favorites that are not on the list, which I'm sure you do, send them in. Maybe we can do some. Maybe we can squeeze some extras in.
There you go.
And if you send it in, maybe you can come on and do it with us.
Oh, there you go. And follow the social media. All of our social media. Find it all in one place. Linktree. That's linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And remember, pick up the Grayson Boy Wonder. It'd be a nice companion piece when you're listening to this podcast. And Pod Life the book for all you podcast. Anyone interested in podcasting or just creative people, I think you get something out of it. Tweaked Audio, Hunt to Killer, support the sponsors. Check out the Amazon link in the show notes to send some money to Southgate Media Group because it costs to put these up. All right. And I know you never want to plug anything.
You did all the plugging.
I know. Because you don't want to. But yes. Yeah, read these stories.
Yes, exactly.
And I'll put the list up.
Original Teen Titans, 14.
Yep.
And
Titans 15.
90,
yeah.
15 and 16, I think, from 99. Yep.
Yes.
Yep, we'll see you. Same wing time. Same wing channel.
So yeah, so see, that's very easy to remember next time. 14, 15, 16.
Yeah. But of different versions
yes,
of
different
the
eras, yeah, but yes. 14 from 1968, and then 15 and 16 from 99.
Like 40 years apart.
There you go. Wait, 30 years apart. Yeah.
Right, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Confusing with that. Alright. Yes, like Kristen said, join us back here next time. Same wing time, same wing channel.
Same wing channel.
Because it is weekly.